boys, welcome to the Chapter 8 Lesson 6 math class today. We're going to be introducing some volume formulas. So again, much like Lesson 4, Lesson 5, Lesson 6 will now be working on more of the formulas. We introduced them on the last chapter. We worked them a little bit. Now we're strictly going to go on more formulas versus trying to look at the shapes and do layer by layer. We'll just work on the formula. So, introduce volume formulas, page 367 in your student activity book. And again, while you are turning there, I have a math joke for you. What do you call a number that can't stay in one place? A Roman numeral. That's actually not bad. All right. Develop a formula. What is the volume of this rectangular prism? So, what we were doing on the last lesson. Now, notice they can turn these shapes any which way they want, and it doesn't really matter what you see as the length, the width, and the height. Knowing we're going to multiply all of them, you can kind of label it as you would like. Let's just say this is the length right there. Let's say this is the width. And let's say this is the height. Well, I see 3 along this side, I see 4 along that side, and I see 3 along that side. So my bottom would be a 3 by 4. So each layer would have 12. But I have 3 layers. So 12, 12, and 12. Obviously that would be 36. So it would be 36. Now they did not give us any measurements, whether it was inches or centimeters. So we need to put units cubed, or we could have said cubic units. So 36 units cubed or cubic units. We have to put that in there because it can't just be 36. It's not a linear measurement. It is volume again, so we have to always include that. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Well, that would be pretty easy. We multiply. But what do we multiply? The length times the width. Okay. How do you find the volume of a rectangular prism then? Well, we do what we did before. We will multiply length times width. But after we're done doing length and width, what do we have to do? Then multiply by the height. Okay, kind of break that up right there. So we do length times width, but then eventually times the height. How is finding volume different from finding the area? Well, we have to include height. Have to include height. Okay, have to include the height when you're doing the volume versus the area. Write a formula for finding the volume of any rectangular prism. We can abbreviate this now. We could do volume is equal to the length times the width times the height. Very simple. That's all we're going to do. Length times width times height. Now a little question for you here. This ice cube is shaped like a cube. And do you remember what cube means again? How about, let's see, Evan from Miss Dunham's class. What makes it a cube? Perfect. All sides are the same length. Everything is a square, all the same length. So its side lengths are 2 centimeters. So we're going to say that this cube, so if we were to draw a cube, there's my cube. If you want to put the inside, you can do dashes. And if you feel like you want to practice drawing cubes at home, go ahead and practice all up. Easy way to do it. Draw a square. And then I make basically 2 lines that are similar length for a cube, exact length right there, and then just connect the lines. Now if you want to make it kind of flop in your head, make it three-dimensional, just do a dotted line, and a dotted line, and now that shape really kind of comes to life. What is the volume of this cube if every side is 2? Now they're only going to give you one measurement because that's all you need in a cube. They're all going to be 2 because it's a cube. So the volume of this cube, if it was 2 by 2 by 2, well, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, so it'll be 8 centimeters. Don't forget the cubed part on there. But now once we write the formula for finding the volume of any cube, a little bit different on a cube. They call a cube the S for a side length. They call it the S. So it's just simply S times S times S, which we would just write as S cubed. You take the side length and you cube it. That's all you have to do. So side length cubed. Take that number 2 times 2 times 2. You could write that as 2 cubed, which means 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, next page. Or I think it's for you, it's actually on the bottom of this page. Find an unknown edge. So here we have this little planter box, and we have, let me zoom, there it is, getting better. Raul is building a planter in the shape of a rectangular prism. So you can see the planter box right here. It has a length of 4 feet. Let's say 4. It has the height of 2 feet. So the height here would be 2. We're measuring in feet, so I'll put the measurement on there. How wide is it? So maybe we put a question mark. But if you want to do more algebra, you could just put a letter in there. We don't know the width. Let's put a W. Make it easy. Width. How wide should it be to hold 24 cubic feet of soil? Explain how you found your answer. Well, if we go back to your volume formula, we know that volume is equal to length times width times height. Now let's plug in what we know. We know this is our length. We know this is our height. Let's plug in what we know. They also told us that our volume, they gave us our volume, so let's put that in there too. So we have 24, that's our volume, is equal to our length, which in this case is 4, times our width, which we don't know what that is, so I'm going to keep that as a W, times my height, which is 2. Now, let's go ahead and multiply what we can. I know I can multiply 4 times 2. That gives me 8, because remember, order does not matter. 8 times W, 24. Well, now think about it. 8 times what is 24? 3. So that would mean that W must be equal to 3. So it asks how wide is it? It would be 3 feet wide. How do we find our answer? Well, what do you really do? You kind of like divide it almost. You take 24 divided by 8, right? Maybe you work backwards. You can put that. Work backwards. Maybe you divided. Okay, not too difficult. Next page. All right, we're going to practice with some. We see some nice three-dimensional shapes here. It says write the numerical expression. Remember, expression does not have an equal sign. We're just going to write out what we're going to do for the volume. Then calculate the volume. So we have the expression. Let's just write down the numbers. We know we're going to do 2 times 4 times 3. Order doesn't matter. I don't really care which way you multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Well, 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 2 is also 24, so it doesn't really matter. 24. Now we have to put feet, but we're dealing with volume, so cubed. Next one. Put the measurements in there. 2 times 5 times 6. If it were me, I would take 2 times 5 and get 10. That's an easy number to work with. 10 times 6 would be 60 inches cubed. Now, how about this one, the stick of butter? We have 5 times 10 times 5. You could take 5 times 10 and get 50, 50 times 5, or what if I took 5 times 5 and got 25? And now 25 times 10 would be 250. Maybe a little bit easier if you did it that way. 250 centimeters cubed. Now, down here, we have to find the unknown dimension. It might be the volume, it might be a length or a width or a height. They can do any one of them. Just know if it's your volume, you have a missing length in there that you might have to divide. Maybe you just know in your head, though, too. So, volume is 120, my length is 4, my width is unknown, and my height is 5. Well, I know that we take our volume is equal to length times width times height. So I have 4 times 5. This gives me 20. But I want to get equal to 120. So 20 times what is 120? What would that have to be? What do you think that should be? 6. 6. Oh, we're dealing with meters this time. 6 meters. Good. Next one. I have 120 again. But now my width is 4 and my height is 3. I know these two equal 12. Well, length times width times height. So what 12 times what is 120? Excellent. 10 inches. And the last one, they just want us to find the volume. So it's just length times width times height. Doesn't matter what order. What if we just did 7 times 6 is 42? Oh, I wrote that way wrong. 42. And now we take 42 times 7. 7 times 2, 14. 7 times 4 is 28 plus 1, 29. So 294. Don't forget the measurement on there. We're dealing with centimeters. But now that we're doing volume, it has to be cubed. Now they put cubic inches and cubic meters. Remember, that's the same thing. Okay. Last page for us today. I told you to go pretty quick. Write an equation. So now, equation, we must have an equal sign. Then solve. A box shaped like a rectangular prism. Maybe you want to try drawing this one. So what if you just started with a rectangle? Just start with a rectangle on your paper. Now to make it into a prism, just kind of keep it off to the side and maybe back to there. And now just connect the lines right there. Best you can do right there. Pretty simple. If you want the three-dimensional, remember this line would be parallel. You can do dashed or dotted. And then I could also connect that one in there. So now you can kind of see your rectangular prism. It is 2 meters long. Let's say 2 meters there. It is 2 meters wide. Has a height of 3 meters. So height of 3 meters. What's the volume? Well, they want the equation. So volume equals, so the V, 2 times 2 times 3. Easy math there. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3. So volume is equal to 12 meters cubed, or cubic meters. Fred's dog crate is 42 inches long, 24 inches wide, and has a height of 30 inches. If you wanted to draw this one too, maybe you draw a larger dog crate. If you want to do it this way, maybe you like just do the lines. You could do a line first right there. This line and this line will be parallel. This line and this line would be parallel. So kind of sketch it this way. This line and this line would be parallel, and then this line and this line would be parallel. So if you want to kind of draw it like that, there's your dog crate. Let's say it's 42 by 24 by 30. Hopefully you can see the 24 in there. Let's multiply all of them, but I don't know any of these off the top of my head, so we're going to have to do a lot of multiplying. But if I took 42 times 24, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 4 is 16. I'm moving over, so I move down, put a 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Now add them up. 8, 10, carry that 1, 10. Looks like 1,008 for that one. Now, how are we going to label this one when we get done with this one? How am I going to label this? Oh, somebody says I'm not done yet. Interesting. This was just 24 times 42. I now need to take this number that we just got from here, 1,008, and I need to multiply it by what? The 30. I haven't done the third one yet. So take this times 30. 0, 0, 0, 0. Move over and move down, put a 0. 3 times 8, 24. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 3 times 0 is 0, and 3 times 1 is 3. Now add them up. It's just 0, 4, 2, 3. So my answer is 3,000. I got off somewhere, did I not? Where did I go wrong here? So we got that. 3 times 8, 24, be 0, the 2. Oh, I see, I forgot that 0 in there. I knew I got off somewhere. That times that was a 0. I forgot that 0. Now I'll put the 3 up front. That's why it looks different. I knew in my head that cannot be right. So now we have it. We have 30,240. And this would be inches cubed. There we go. Don't worry, we all make mistakes. You've seen me do it 1,000 times this year. Okay, next one. The cargo hold of a truck has a height of 3 yards and is 5 yards wide. The volume of the cargo hold is listed as 240 cubic yards. What's the length? So now we know 2 of them. If you just want to go with maybe not a picture, but more of the equation, let's write that. The equation up here, we kind of had down here if we want to write the equation. Volume was equal to 42 times 24 times 30. Okay, now we can go down to here. For this one, our volume is 240, so put that there. 240 is equal to our length. We don't know, so put L times our width. Our width says 5 yards wide times our height. Our height is 3. Well, so this would mean that 240 is equal to L times 15. So how can I do this? What times 15 is 240? Well, if we don't know and they want us to multiply, what should we do? How about, let's go with Caleb. What do I do? Yes, we want to divide. So let's go ahead and divide. Hopefully I have some free space down here. Let's do 240 divided by 15. How many 15s going to 24? 1. So subtract that 15 right there. I know that doesn't work, so that becomes a 1. Over comes more. 14 minus 5 would be 9. Now I'll bring down your 0. Well, let's count by 15s. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be 6. So that means that 16 has to be the length. So we have to put 16 what though? It's actually going to be 16. We're measuring in yards. So you can put YD, yards. But then, is this going to be to the 3rd power or cubed? No, because they just want the length. The volume is the only thing that is ever cubic. So this is just 16 yards. Maybe circle the answer so I can find that later. Okay? If you feel like doing it, you can go ahead and try to do that one, and maybe we'll talk about that one later, maybe talk about with your teachers if you happen to do a Google Meets later. Go ahead and try that one on your own. I appreciate you tuning in today, and have a good rest of your day.